You know, there are some images in the Bible that just stick with you, and this is definitely one of them. It's a vision that has fascinated people for centuries. Today, we're going to deconstruct one of the most cinematic verses in the entire book of Revelation to figure out who these heavenly armies really are and what they're up to.
I mean, just picture that for a second. It's incredible, right? A celestial cavalry just charging out of the heavens. But this one little sentence is packed with so much mystery. Like, who are these armies? Why are they on white horses? And what is the deal with those brilliant white uniforms? Well, let's dive in and find out.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this incredible vision, we've got to break it down, piece by piece. So let's start with the most obvious question, the soldiers themselves.
So, first things first, who exactly are these soldiers of heaven?
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. If you look at the original Greek, the word used here is stratiumata. Now, that just means armies, or a host of troops. But here's the thing. The text never explicitly says they're angels. And that little detail, it opens the door to a whole different way of looking at this.
So, yeah, it's super easy for our minds to just jump straight to angels. But hang on. The source material we're digging into points somewhere else entirely. It actually argues these aren't angels at all, but the redeemed church. That's right, the saints themselves, riding out with their king.
Okay, so if the riders are the saints, what about the horses? Well, as you're about to see, these white horses are so much more than just heavenly transportation.
Yeah, that color, white, is absolutely key here. It screams purity and victory. See, this isn't a physical battle. It's a spiritual one. The horses really signify that this army is operating with the exact same kind of divine authority as their leader.
All right, so we've got the riders, we've got their horses, but there's one more crucial piece to this puzzle, their uniform.
So here's the crucial point. According to the source, this fine linen represents the righteousness of the saints. And here's the kicker. This isn't some righteousness they earn themselves. Nope, it's a gift, given to them, pure and simple, by grace.
And this whole idea of being clothed in righteousness, it's not a one-off thing. It bounces right off of passages like this one from Isaiah, hammering home the point that this purity is a gift, like a robe that's put on you. Actually, if you just take a step back and look at the whole book of Revelation, you'll see this imagery of white robes popping up again and again. It's this super consistent symbol that always points back to the same things: purity, victory, and the grace that you can only get through the Lamb.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. We've got the army, the horses, the clothes. So, what's the one thing that ties it all together? What is the single source of all this victory?
And check this out. The source material lays out this just beautiful, perfect logic. It all traces back to the cross. First, the groom gives himself for the bride. That's the church. Then, in that act, the bride dies to her old self and rises to this brand new life. After that, the old system is judged. And finally, the church gets clothed in his righteousness. That's what makes them white and clean. It's a straight line from the cross right to this heavenly army.
So what does this all mean for their mission?
Well, this is key. This is not a war fought with swords and shields. Their power is totally spiritual, and it's waged with what the Bible calls the sword of the Spirit, the Word of God. Their job isn't to conquer by force, but to proclaim.
So if it's a spiritual war, what's the actual goal, right? Well, the source connects it all back to the harvest. This army's real mission is about this great end time and gathering of souls. Think of it like a rescue operation powered by sharing the gospel.
All right, let's do a quick recap, just so it all sticks. The armies in heaven, that's the redeemed church. The white horses they're on, that symbolizes purity and spiritual power. The fine linen they're wearing, that's a righteousness given totally by grace. And the source of it all, the victory won at the cross.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If this heavenly army is the church and their power is spiritual, centered on proclaiming the word of God, what does that mean for their true mission? Right here, right now, in the world today. Definitely something to think about.